When Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir recently arrived in Tehran, the optics suggested a significant diplomatic thaw. He was received with a level of publicized warmth and tireless informal decorum usually reserved for Iran's closest regional allies. Simultaneously, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif was in Saudi Arabia, engaged in high-level talks with the Saudi Crown Prince. Two different leaders of the same nation were at the top tables of the Middle East's most rivalrous powers at the exact same moment. The timing and optics point to a coordinated diplomatic maneuver. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have stepped into the role of intermediaries, relaying sensitive communications between the United States and Iran. By ferrying specific messages from Washington to Tehran and back again, these messengers are attempting to build the framework for a secret ceasefire. They are racing to establish a diplomatic breakthrough before the current political window in the U.S. completely closes. The stakes of this Islamabad-based back-channel are global. If these messengers fail to broker a deal, the resulting multi-front escalation will disrupt more than just regional borders. It will threaten the stability of the entire global economy. However, Benjamin Netanyahu has positioned himself in direct opposition to these talks. He has publicly dismissed the ceasefire negotiations, insisting that Israel will maintain its right to strike until there is a total regime change in Iran. There are even allegations that Netanyahu is receiving his own backdoor updates. Reports suggest U.S. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance has been communicating directly with the Israeli leader, providing information that appears to bypass the current president's office. This creates a precarious strategic reality. Israel is threatening a massive regional escalation, yet its military remains entirely dependent on American weapons and aid to sustain a high-intensity conflict for more than a few days. For decades, funding Israel's military was a bipartisan certainty in Washington. Today, that political consensus is visibly fracturing. In a recent Senate vote, the shift became quantifiable when a resolution was introduced to block the supply of military equipment and weapons to Israel. 36 out of 47 Democratic senators voted against the weapons supply. Israel is doubling down on its most aggressive threats at the exact moment its primary benefactor is facing a historic internal debate over whether to continue foot the bill. As the diplomatic race continues, the U.S. is tightening the economic screws. Washington is pressuring major Asian economies, including China and India, to terminate their remaining trade ties with the Iranian market. This pressure targets mechanisms like India's rupee exchange. Cut off from dollars, India pays for Iranian oil in local rupee accounts, which Iran uses to buy Indian goods. New U.S. sanctions aim to shutter these accounts, creating a total financial blockade against Iran's eastern trade. Iran is responding with open defiance. Despite the threat of a blockade, they recently moved a major cargo vessel, the Iran Ardabil, straight through the Strait of Hormuz, testing the U.S. military's willingness to physically stop Iranian commerce. Tehran's counterthreat is even more severe. If the U.S. succeeds in blockading Iranian finance, Iran will use its geography to block the world's trade. The first target is the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which would instantly halt trade through the Red Sea and Suez Canal. The blockade would then expand to the Persian Gulf and Sea of Oman, creating a total maritime lockdown for the region's energy lanes. Iran is using its physical control over these choke points to counter American dominance over the financial system, turning global geography into a weapon of last resort. If Iran executes this blockade, the immediate consequences would be felt in every major economy on Earth. First is the outward freeze. Middle Eastern oil and gas shipments would be trapped at their sources. Without access to global markets, energy prices would experience an immediate and catastrophic surge. Then comes the inward freeze. Nations across the Arab world and Israel depend on massive imports of food and basic supplies from South Asia. A total blockade means those essentials stop arriving, leading to immediate domestic instability. Traditional military force cannot easily solve this problem. Bombing a coastline does not clear a blocked shipping lane or restore the confidence needed for commercial insurers to let ships enter a contested sea. This makes the upcoming meetings in Islamabad the final opportunity for a diplomatic off-ramp. These back channels represent the last buffer between the current status quo and a systemic global crisis. U.S. leadership is currently weighing a high-stakes trade-off. They can accept Iranian terms, such as a verified freeze on nuclear development in exchange for regional stability, or continue the escalation and risk a total maritime lockdown. The era of one-sided geopolitical pressure is meeting a new reality. Mutually assured economic destruction is now the primary rule of war, and if these proxy messengers fail, the global supply chain will simply stop.